Next on Stampede, soccer silence. Athletic Director Mark Fox says he can't answer questions about former coach Adam Laney's firing. Now he's telling players not to talk to the Stampede. Daniel Peacock has the details next.
And Airband delayed. A Milligan tradition is moving to the spring due to low participation. We have the date coming up.
Plus, an engineering project is working to bring air conditioning to some dorms.
And later, fashion forward, Stampede newspaper editor Kennedy Weber will give our producer Caleb Perhne a style makeover.
These stories and more coming up next.
Stampede TV begins now. On our last broadcast, we reported men's soccer coach Adam Laney would be removed from his position at the end of the season. Welcome to Stampede TV. I'm Ike Ndulue.
And I'm Kayla Baker. As the Stampede's Daniel Peacock has learned, administration is not answering questions about the firing.
The Stampede spoke with soccer player Noah Hickerson about the change for an online article earlier this month. Hickerson said the relationship between player and coach was poor, and the team felt a change was needed. However, Hickerson said the announcement of Laney's dismissal, which came about 2/3 into the season, created what he described as chaos at the team practices. Following the announcement of Laney's firing, women's head coach Lisa Buckley stepped in to supervise the men's practices. I approached several members of the soccer team for more information on the circumstances surrounding Laney's dismissal, but they all declined to comment, saying athletic director Mark Fox told them not to speak to us. Fox declined our interview request, saying he was willing to speak about the possibility of a new coach for the team once an official announcement is made, but he would not discuss what he calls personnel matters. The men's soccer team finished its season on November 3rd with a record of 3-16. Fox says the athletic department is currently seeking a new coach, with an announcement expected in the coming weeks. Daniel Peacock, Stampede TV.
Beginning next semester, Milligan study abroad programs will have a new sign-up process. Students interested in the program will need to go through a merit-based application. Previously, if someone wanted to participate in the semester abroad program, all they had to do was have their names put on the list. The first students to express interest were given priority. Now the 5 available spots will be awarded to students based on a variety of factors. These include having a GPA of 2.5 or greater, self-motivation, and the student's career goal. Alicia Martin, chairman of the committee that brought about the changes, says she's excited about this program.
One of the things that study abroad, again, both domestic and international, can offer our students those experiences to learn how to be adaptable, how to be flexible, how to work with people from a variety of backgrounds, whether that be racial, ethnic, socioeconomic classes.
The deadline to apply to study abroad in fall 2018 is in February.
Student government is now sending money raised for Hurricane Harvey relief to Houston. In August, Harvey brought a record-breaking 51 inches of rain to parts of Texas. The SGA is sending more than $3,200 to the Houston Food Bank. That money was raised through student and alumni donations. The SGA took donations outside the cafeteria and during rush day. Secretary Becca Guthrie of the SGA was amazed by the amount of money raised.
We were not expecting to get that much at all, but that just shows what coming together as a Milligan community can do, which is great.
A new date has been set for Airband after it was postponed due to low participation. The new date is February 16th during Family Weekend. In 2015, 7 bands participated. This year, only 4 signed up, with 1 dropping out a week before the original date of the event. Airband is a show where students sign up in bands to lip sync and dance to popular music. Campus Activities Director Jason Ong says about 6 to 7 bands are needed for a good turnout. He's hoping looser rules and structure will allow participants to be more creative.
Generally, there are some families that kind of come to it anyways, or parents, of students that might be participating. And so I think it's a family-friendly kind of event. And so actually, I think it'll be situated nicely amongst some of the other things going on for Family Weekend in February.
You can sign up to be in Airband by contacting Ongs or Kristen Branch.
Even without Airband, this year's Res Life Week was full of fun events.
But some changes this year meant the replacement of the usual turkey toss with a pumpkin chunkin competition. This year's Residence Life Week saw a nice turnout of students. As with all previous years, each hall treated students to events every day of the week. The Webb County Fair, however, saw a significant change with the replacement of the turkey toss with pumpkin chucking. Webb Hall RA Tevi explains the reason for the change.
But last year, as you heard, someone got hurt trying to catch the turkey. And they got a concussion, and they didn't sign any contract or anything, so Milligan could have been liable if sued. So we decided, we want to do something a little bit safer, but just as fun.
StampedeTV talked to a few students on their thoughts about the change from turkey toss.
Okay, I think pumpkins are cool and everything, but the turkey adds drama. It's thawing and it's slippery and people get hit in the head, but I didn't get hit in the head. So
I personally like the turkey toss more. I think it adds more suspense and it's a lot more fun to watch. The pumpkin toss wasn't bad, but it was just people throwing pumpkins. There was no one there to catch them.
I'm kind of the same as her. I just think that the turkey toss is just so dramatic. I hate that people could get hurt, but it is very dramatic and it's fun. But I have to say, though, the pumpkin toss was really cool, too.
Ike Ndulwe reporting for StampedeTV. Fundraising is underway for the SGA sidewalk project. That sidewalk is planned to replace a muddy patch across from the library. The SGA sold t-shirts over homecoming to begin raising the approximately $5,000 needed. They have also sent out letters to Milligan students, parents, and alumni. Those letters offer $100 bricks with names printed on them. About 50 are available. President Gabe Logan says the sidewalk will also remind students of the SGA's role on campus.
For, student governments moving forward, hopefully this can be something that students can see and be like, okay, well, if something needs to get done, we know exactly who to go to. This is a spot that students go by every single day.
The deadline to purchase the bricks is over Family Weekend in February. Logan says he's encouraged by a recent poll where 96% of students surveyed voted in favor of the sidewalk.
Engineering students are working on a project that could bring air conditioning to some dorms. The idea came after Hurricane Irma hit Florida and left 8 people dead in a nursing home because of no air conditioning. Students have been working on the solar-powered units for 5 months and hope they will be completed soon. Professors Greg Harrell and Jeff Geezy say the engineering department's goal is to solve problems like this. Harrell says students will put together solar panels and window units to potentially bring air conditioning to older buildings on campus like Webb Hall.
We are targeting some of the classroom or some of the dorm rooms in Webb, where there's no air conditioning, but there's a definite need for air conditioning. We get several requests a year, legitimate requests, right, from a doctor, from medical personnel saying a student needs air conditioning.
There is no timeline for when the project will be complete and ready to be installed. Both Harrell and Geezy said they hope to give it a try in the near future.
The graphic design major is holding its first ever student showcase through November 30. It's the first showcase since the major began in 2015. Seniors Megan Gaylor, Candice Tingle, and Kayla Lopez presented their work as a capstone to the major. They'll be the first to complete the degree in May.
I think that Megan, Kayla, and I have exhibited our best work, and so I'm really excited for all of us today.
It's been something that's been far in the future, and then it's finally here, so I'm really excited that everything was hung up and just on the walls and everyone's getting to see it. So.
The next graphic design showcase is expected to be held in the fall of 2018. After the break, Mitchell Hancock will sit down with Bradley Harvey, who is starting a new club to help international students.
And later, check out the fashion makeover of our producer, Caleb Perhne. More Stampede after this.
A shooting on campus. It's something we hope will never happen. But it seems to be happening more and more often. We asked questions and discovered what you should do if it ever occurs here.
You could have 22 city officers in that vicinity within 10 minutes.
Now guidelines are posted in every building. It's potentially life-saving information because we're in this together. We're StampedeTV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
I used to think news is news. It's all the same. But it's not. There's a big difference between local broadcast news and cable news. See, local stations are part of my community, connecting me to local news, weather, and sports on every device. It makes sense. Get the news from the people I trust who actually live here. No agenda, no bias like on cable shout shows or social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text TV to 52886 today.
Today on Have You Heard, I'm with Bradley Harvey, the president and founder of the International Club. Thanks for coming on the show today. Just tell us a little bit about the International Club.
Well, the International Club is obviously a club for international students. Though it's not specifically restricted to international students, anyone's willing to join. But the main purpose that we're focusing on right now is creating a network of family sponsors to host international students over breaks during which they cannot stay on campus, just so they don't have to hide out on campus during those times and hope the RAs don't find them.
That's awesome. What caused you to start up this club?
Well, I grew up as a missionary kid overseas. Since I was 2 years old, East Africa. I lived in Tanzania and Kenya, and only came back to the States a few years ago to start school at Milligan. For a couple of those years, I fell into depression, going through homesickness and culture shock, and just kind of thought to myself about what could have been done to prevent that. And so I thought, well, if there was some form of being able to, express myself with other people. I had talked to a few people, but no one really seemed to really understand what I was going through. And so I thought that an international club was a great way of getting all these different people together. I'd always felt more connected to the international students than I did a lot of the other students on campus, even though I wasn't specifically an international student. And I thought, okay, so we can get a club together, but then what exactly can we do in this club besides just socializing? And I started thinking about needs on campus and realized that a place to stay over break was probably the biggest need that international students had.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So what could a student do if they're interested in participating in the International Club?
Well, right now, really we're just kind of getting a list together for people that might be interested in this network of family sponsors. We're trying to get a list of families together, maybe from various churches, get that network together. And then I'm hoping that these families can continue a relationship with these students throughout their time here at Milligan, kind of a family away from home, kind of support them emotionally, come to different games, events, stuff like that. And I'm hoping that in the future, these students, the international students, will eventually add their own ideas. I already have, Kayla had an idea for having an international food distribution, basically, where you have a bunch of different food on display from different countries, different nationalities, and people coming and trying that out. And so really, I have a few ideas for the future, but ultimately, because I want the club to be for the international students, those plans are always up to change.
That's awesome. And what about for those that are local students who would like to help house international students? Could they also come to you and join the club?
They could. Really hoping that it's families, people that live in the Tri-Cities area specifically. Obviously, it would be a little too difficult if they live much further from that. But definitely, I'm making a list right now of both international students looking for a place to stay and other people willing to host them, people that know of other people willing to host them even. So yeah.
Cool. And so, since you're a senior, what do you hope this club will look like after you're graduated?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm hoping that by the time I graduate, it'll be self-run by the international students. I'm not hoping for it to be a secluded group. I'm hoping that it will be involved with other groups on campus like MCA or GOA, though they will be run by their own international students. I'm hoping that there also may be some sort of mentorship thing where you have older senior students that are internationals taking the younger ones under their wing. I'm even hoping at some point that you can have them set up bank accounts, get driver's license, just typical stuff like that we might just think, oh, well, of course we have that. But them coming from out of the country would need special attention getting those things in order. And just a lot of stuff that we might not even think about being American citizens that they would need.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the show today. More Stampede is coming up. And later, check out the fashion transformation of our producer, Caleb Perhne. That's next.
2 national championships in 1 year. It was the first time it had ever happened before.
It was kind of one of those surreal moments, like you at the time you don't really realize, you know, the magnitude of what you've done.
When one person has an accomplishment, we all celebrate because we're in this together. We are Stampede TV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
Congress is continuing to work on a tax reform bill. At present, there are two different versions, one in the House and one in the Senate. The Senate version also has a section that plans to end Obamacare's requirement to have health insurance, something the Congressional Budget Office estimates will lead to higher premiums. Here's an outline of the changes. The House version of the bill will result in 4 tax brackets, while the Senate version has 7. The House plan will repeal the estate tax, while the Senate version doubles the estate tax exemption. The House version has an immediate reduction to the corporate tax, while the Senate bill phases it in. The Senate bill also proposes making individual tax cuts temporary, expiring in 2025, while a 15% cutout to corporate taxes would be permanent. Last week, Milligan President Bill Greer sent an email to students and parents asking them to contact Congress in opposition of the bill. Greer said several parts of the plan would hurt students and Milligan.
Milligan video editing class member Kara Clark recently visited Campbell's Morel Music, which has become a part of Johnson City's downtown for more than 30 years.
As life seems to become busier, more people have begun to turn online for their shopping needs. One local store is making a case as to why in-store can still be better. Seated in the heart of downtown Johnson City is Campbell's Morel Music, established in 1985.
There had been a Morel Music here in the area, but they had a fire and the guy that was running it didn't want to run it anymore. So Dad opened this store in '85 and called it Morel Music of Johnson City. And then in 2000 we incorporated and named it Campbell's Music Company Incorporated. And then we do business as Campbell's Morel Music.
From instruments to accessories to lesson books, Campbell's Morel tries to cover it all.
We probably do more business in stringed instruments and guitars, but we have a large percussion department. We try to cover the whole spectrum. We've got some keyboards, some lighting and PA, fiddles, violins.
In addition to selling and buying instruments, the store also makes repairs and offers lessons.
We want people to feel good about what the instrument they're buying, and try to help them, not force anything on them, but trying to help them make a decision. We need to keep the music going. We need to keep people playing. It's such a wonderful thing. Brings people together. People are impressed when you can play something if they can't, or even if they play another instrument and you play something. It's a friendship maker, and I don't know what to say.
Your musical journey begins at 118 West Market Street in downtown Johnson City. This has been Kara Clark with Stampede TV.
And Mandy Lorch recently took a trip to Milligan's darkroom, where photography students are developing memories through old techniques.
I want to know him personally. I want to jump into this picture and know him, but unfortunately the picture is all I have.
In this digital age, few people develop film anymore, but Milligan students are learning this lost art form in the basement of the Gregory Center. Students and faculty are in love with the magic of this old skill.
It tells a story, and it's exciting. It's magical.
To be honest, using film has changed the way I see photography. Even my digital work is significantly impacted by my time in the darkroom.
It opens your brain to a new way of thinking, which I think is super important for any art major and really anyone who wants to try anything outside of their major.
But students don't just learn about developing film. They develop character and life skills in the darkroom.
I think the biggest takeaway would be patience, waiting for all the film to develop, and then the hard work it takes, and then finally coming up with that one image, which could either be 30 minutes later after you've developed everything, or maybe even 5 hours later. It's really, really rewarding in the long run.
You come out with the knowledge of how to do everything, and with the pride that it is in doing everything yourself.
It takes teamwork.
Become a professional trained talent.
You're sharing utensils, you're sharing space, you're sharing stories, you're sharing terrible music and good music alike.
Because of the intense and sometimes emotional development process, Students view photography differently. They don't just shoot pictures, they capture moments, emotion, and the essence of humanity.
Maybe that emotion that you can capture will spread to others and they'll realize how passionate people are about this thing. Maybe I should be passionate about that too.
Cody Carlson joins us now with sports.
And he takes us to the delayed Powder Puff game.
Rain over homecoming weekend didn't ruin the fun. I'll have the details and the sports action next.
Hammocks. They're one of our favorite pastimes. Student leaders promise new mounts behind dorms to make things even easier.
It's going to allow for hopefully 14 hammocks.
But when a year passed with no mounts, we asked why.
The hammock mounts that had not been installed a year after the plan was announced.
Those interview requests were declined. The very next morning, those mounts were installed. We stuck with the story until the very end, because we are in this together. We are Stampede TV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
This year's Powder Puff game took place on November 5th after being postponed due to weather, but homecoming rain didn't prevent the fun. The upperclassmen and underclassmen took the field on November 5th for the Powder Puff game with high expectations.
Positive, we had experience. I feel like we had a lot of talent, so I knew that. And also the girls had been playing together for a few years now, so good team chemistry.
The director of campus activities, Jason Ox, was well aware of both teams' intensities at practice and even compared this year's practices to years past.
Both underclassmen and upperclassmen have been practicing now. Both have multiple practices under their belts in preparation for this year. In fact, I would say that there's been more practice this year than there has in the last at least 2 years that I've been here and observed kind of what's been going on. And
most of the players and coaches were saddened by the postponing due to rain, but freshman Chelsea Hines saw it different as a positive for her.
I'm glad we had that extra week because it was nice to have that time to kind of memorize the plays and stuff, and that helped me not feel so stressed about it. So that was a huge plus.
There were new features to this year's game that made the game more official-like.
So I've got two official referees that I'm paying to come in to ref the events. Both teams have been briefed on the rules that those refs will be governing by, and hopefully it'll be a great night.
The underclassmen players and coaches thought officiating was good, but the upperclassmen had different feelings towards the officials.
Those rules kind of changed when the game started. We didn't know that. If I would have known that was going to be a thing, I probably would have asked the referees beforehand. So that was difficult from a coaching perspective, and it affected both sides for sure. But from a coaching perspective, that was pretty annoying.
The upperclassmen took an early lead into halftime, but it was the underclassmen that would come back in the second half to win the game.
Just realization that we can do this, and having the game tied definitely made it more we wanted to push because we were getting close. One more point and we could win the game.
Underclassmen coach Mike Analquay was very happy for his team and thought his team played very good.
Loved them. They were absolutely phenomenal. Blessed to be able to coach with them. So.
This has been Cody Carlson reporting for Stampede TV. The Milligan men's and women's basketball teams began conference play at home Tuesday night with a pair of wins. Both teams played Truett McConnell with the women's game starting first. The Lady Buffs played well and got off to an early lead. Once taking a big lead, the Lady Buffs never looked back as they cruised to an 86-51 win over Truett McConnell. The Lady Buffs were led by sophomore Emily Kaiser, who hit 9 3-pointers and finished with 27 points. With the win, the Lady Buffs improved to 4-2 on the year. The men's team played hard as well. They found themselves down by 7 at halftime. Thanks to a strong defensive effort and scoring from junior Tyler Nichols, the Buffs were forced overtime play. The overtime was very competitive, which ended with sophomore Daxton Bostian hitting his shot with 3 seconds left. That shot would lift the Buffs to their first win of the season. The basketball teams return home this Tuesday to take on Union College. The women's game starts at 5:30 and the men's game starts at 7:30. The women had several other wins this week. They won over Alice Lloyd 94-91 and Asbury 84-67. The men's team lost 98-81 against Alice Lloyd. And in volleyball, the team lost to Union 3-0. And that's what's going on in sports.
Thanks, Cody.
After the break, Stampede newspaper editor Kennedy Weber will take TV producer Caleb Perhne on a journey to his new fashion style. Stay tuned.
Graduation. It's one of the biggest moments for each of us. But overcrowding meant that we could no longer have just one ceremony. For some, this meant sharing the event with your entire family. for others, splitting up this community.
I know it's not expected and change is hard, but we had this idea. We would all matriculate together and we would all graduate together.
We provided you with a voice on an important issue because we're in this together. We are Stampede TV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
You are watching I Can Do Away and Kayla Baker, Cody Carlson with sports, and the rest of the Stampede TV team.
You may have noticed our producer Caleb Perhne around campus in his usual plain style.
The Stampede's Kennedy Weber decided to spruce it up a bit and take him for a shopping fashion makeover.
Hi, I'm here with Caleb Perhne, and his style is not bad, but it's not particularly fabulous either. And so we're here at Old Navy. We're getting ready to head in, and we'll just see how this goes.
You mean my style sucks? That's what you think. I'm actually kind of nervous about it right now because I don't know what in the world you're going to do to me. But doesn't that mean 50% off of quadruple the price it should be?
No, it says up to 50% off, so it might be less than 50% off.
This is ridiculous, you know that?
I love this. This is so cute. Oh my gosh.
That looks ridiculous.
No, listen. Tough crowd.
Heck no.
Oh my god.
The big reveal.
Actually, I think that they look nice. Yeah. That looks so good.
Really?
I like that look.
I like it.
That actually looks good.
Yeah. It looks so.
The waistline's like 2 inches loose, but...
And you can roll them up.
Roll them up?
Yeah. I know what it is.
Do real people actually wear this stuff?
Yes. All right. Yeah, hold on.
I've never owned a scarf. I'm not sure if I've ever worn one.
It's weird. It's very different, but it's not bad different, and I think you should dress it like that all the time. How do you like Caleb's outfit?
I like it. It's very cool. It's a good combination. It works well for him. I think so.
He just is normal now.
What do you mean by that?
I'm not comfortable. I'm sweaty.
Yeah, I was surprised I could get into skinny jeans as painful as they were. I definitely liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I actually enjoyed the shopping, and I'm now wearing the tightest pants I've ever owned, and am okay with that, surprisingly. But my biggest thing is I would not spend this money on clothes that we spent.
Well, I think we now have a model on our hands.
Yep, we sure do. And that's all the time we have for this edition of Stampede TV.
For the latest news information, visit us online at milliganstampede.com.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
More campus, community, and world news will be in our final print edition of the semester, releasing November 30th.
Thanks for joining us for the final Stampede TV of the semester. I'm Ike Ndure.
And I'm Kayla Baker. We'll see you again in the spring. Good luck on finals and enjoy the break.